Hey everybody, it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast episode for you. This week I went to the movies and I saw Ballerina, also known as From the World of John Wick: Ballerina, which is annoying, so Ballerina. It was not playing in IMAX, so I went to see it in the Dolby Theater instead, because, you know, why not? I have AMC A-List, let's use the premium formats that don't cost me anything extra, like they do the regular people. It's basically a John Wick movie with a female lead. Ana de Armas plays Eve, who was orphaned as a child and grew up in the Roma, which trained her to be a lethal killer. I just, you know, the rules make even less sense here than they do in the regular John Wick movies, because the Roma are like killers, but they're supposed to be protectors, so they kill to protect someone. So I guess they're the nice guys? I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The script is just sort of there to allow for the terrific action sequences, which, as I've read reports that apparently they went back in to reshoot action sequences to, you know, beef them up, which I can't complain, because the action scenes are the best part of the movie, especially the flamethrower, which was, oh, that was something new. So, Ana de Armas is a good actress, but she doesn't really have a lot to work with here. The script is kind of bare bones. They don't really give her much of a character. So it really is just about the action scenes. John Wick is in the movie. There is a scene early on, which contains a scene from John Wick 3, where he goes to visit the Roma, and we see that conversation that he has, that Keanu Reeves has with Angelica Houston, and you see it from Eve's point of view when the Baba Yaga comes to visit. And that was neat. But I will say that he does show up again in the film, and I don't know if this was like a reshoot that they like squeezed him in so that you could get more John Wick in the movie, because they were afraid that people wouldn't want to go see it if he wasn't in it properly. And I didn't mind that he shows up. The reason he shows up is fine, and what happens is fine mostly. Unfortunately, he does something, no spoilers, I'm trying not to spoil, because this is pretty much the end of the this is the climax of the movie here. He does something that irked me, because it's supposed to be her movie, and I just felt like he was kind of shoehorned in and took over for a bit, in a way. And I'm just like, it's not a John Wick movie. Like, let her have the moments, you know? But, you know, your mileage may vary. You might not mind. It irked me a bit. But overall, it was a fun movie. It's nothing, like, spectacular and groundbreaking. But if you like the John Wick movies, this is basically another one with a female lead. So it's the same kind of cool action and great visuals, and it's perfectly entertaining. So enjoy. As for games, I know that there are a lot of people out there right now who are enjoying their brand new Switch 2s and playing Mario Kart and maybe some other stuff. But as I've said in previous episodes, I am not one of them. I did not pre-order a Switch 2. I do not want one right now. For two reasons. One, the main reason being that it's very expensive at $450, and there are no games that I want to play on it right now. You know, I'm not going to play $450 so that I can play Animal Crossing and have it maybe look a little bit crisper. Who cares? It's Animal Crossing. It looks great already on the Switch. The other reason why I don't care is because, as I've also said in previous episodes, this is just an incremental upgrade. So now the Switch is like the PlayStation and the Xbox. It's not doing anything new. It just does the same thing, only a little bit better, you know, as opposed to, like, you know, the Wii or the 3DS or the Switch itself, which when it came out, I pre-ordered that for launch day because that was amazing. You could play console games portably, which was so amazing to me. And also there was a Zelda game at launch, which I did enjoy until the end when I couldn't finish it because it got like crazy ass hard. And I got really pissed. But by that point there were other games to play anyway. Like I'm playing Skyrim on the go, and I actually finished the story because I could play Skyrim more. Because when the Switch came out, I was playing it portably. I was playing it on my commute to and from work. I was playing it at my lunch hour. I play it wherever, whenever. It was great. And I made a point of basically the Switch was like my portable console, and then when I came home, I would play my PlayStation. I mean, obviously sometimes like if I was in the middle of a section of a game, I would put it on the TV and play it at home too. But I tried to keep it mostly separate. But then COVID happened, and I started working from home, and now I still work from home, and there is no more commute, so I'm not traveling as much. So now my Switch, ever since 2020, my Switch has been docked 99% of the time. The only time I play my Switch portably is when I go to like visit my family at the holidays, or occasionally if like my husband's watching TV or working and I want to play Animal Crossing or something, I'll just take the Switch in the bedroom and go play it there. But that's it. The Switch is basically a home console on the TV now. It's not being played portably. So the portability is no longer a selling point. Because if it was, then I would be more tempted to get a Switch 2, because the Switch 2 is now more powerful, because the Switch could play these console games portably, but they were always like slightly downgraded, or they were older games that weren't quite as powerful. Like they didn't need as much processing power. But now it's like, it's on par with almost the current gen. So, they've said, I've read that it's supposed to be as powerful as the Xbox Series S, which is apparently not that powerful, except I totally played Starfield on it and didn't really see any big differences, and it was fine, so whatever. I guess I don't care enough, and I don't notice these things. But the idea of playing things like Cyberpunk or Star Wars Outlaws portably is pretty cool. Except I'm not going to be using it portably. I would be using it on my TV. So in that case, it does not make any sense for me to spend $450 on a Switch and then $70 on a copy of Cyberpunk when I can just buy Cyberpunk for my PS5 on sale for $25. I think that the Switch 2 version it's like the Ultimate Edition that has all the DLC and everything in it, so yes, there's that, but I'm still sure you could get the deluxe version for cheaper than $70 for the PlayStation right now anyway, but whatever. The same with Star Wars. Like, you can get that for $35 on the PlayStation 5 right now. There's no reason to spend $70 for it. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't be playing it portably. If I was, then it would be much more tempting. But right now, it's not a thing. I am going to get one eventually, I'm sure. At some point, Nintendo will release a game that is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 that I have to play. Therefore, I will have to buy the system in order to play it. It'll probably be Animal Crossing. If they do Animal Crossing, and then maybe I'll get lucky and they'll do a bundle. I don't even care if it's a branded Animal Crossing Switch 2. That doesn't matter to me, as long as it's like a bundle. Because they did that with Mario Kart, and then you can get it for $500, which in the case of Mario Kart is actually a really good deal because the game costs $80, so you're getting it for $50 instead of $80, which is a good deal. But I would totally buy like an Animal Crossing bundle for $500. But right now there's nothing. And then of course when it comes out I would have all these other games to play, like the Donkey Kong game and stuff, except for the fact that you won't get it for cheap because Nintendo games never seem to go on sale for that much. Like with Xbox and PlayStation, like if a game is like a year or so old, you can get it for like $20. But the Nintendo sales are never that strong, and it's just super frustrating, and they just want your money. It's really annoying. So enjoy your Switch 2s. I'll just keep playing my PlayStation, and occasionally my Xbox, and of course my Switch. I've been playing, obviously, I've still been playing some Nikki and some Disney Dreamlight Valley. Not as much. because I finished the Star Path and everything. I've been doing some friendship quests. But I will say that not this coming week, but the following week is already, there's another new Star Path. This one introduces Peter Pan, who I'm not crazy about his look. Sometimes the 2D animated characters don't quite translate into 3D that well, but whatever, I'll deal. I don't know where I'm going to put him. The valley is so crowded, but we shall see. So I'm enjoying my break where I don't have to play it as heavily because the Star Path is coming, and then I'm going to be playing it all the time again. The other thing is that I did not actually play any Dragon Age the Veilguard this week because I put that on pause because I found out that there's this other game that you could download for free. It's called Tell Me Why, and it is from 2020. I have never heard of it because I am assuming because it was a Xbox and PC exclusive, and in 2020 I had an Xbox One, but I wasn't really playing it. But I had never heard of it. But apparently, like starting in I think 2021, Microsoft has made the game free to play. You can download it for free during the month of June. They've made it free during Pride Month because basically it is an adventure game where these two twins return to their hometown in Alaska to close up their house and deal with their past because it's Allison and Tyler is a trans man, and he apparently killed his mother in what he thought was self-defense because she was going to kill him because Tyler wanted to be a boy. He had cut his hair and wanted to be a boy, and she did not like that. Although it's obviously more complicated than that, and there are things being revealed. I'm still only in episode 1. There's 3 episodes. I'm only in the first one, so obviously there will be more revelations and dramatic things, but that's why it's free for Pride Month, because the game basically puts you in the shoes of a trans man. And there's video game elements where like you're not just exploring and looking at things and having conversations that have repercussions later and whatever. The twins have like this psychic connection and can talk in their minds, and they also can, like, when they see like there's a scene and you can like have a memory like pop up and remember something that happened with the twins when they were kids, and their horrible mother, who Tyler killed when Tyler was little, and that's like a video gamey element kind of thing. They happen in real time, and you can like look at the scene as it plays out. And obviously, the memories are complicating things. There's more to come, but I did find it fascinating to play this game that puts you. I mean, sometimes you play as Allison. But when you're playing as Tyler, I found it fascinating because there's a scene early in the beginning where they're riding a ferry to the island where their home is, and as Tyler, you're just like exploring it's a very small ferry, you're just exploring and you're just walking around the cars and like looking at the scenery, and there's a guy hanging out outside his car on the ride, and you can talk to him. And I have to say that I was slightly uncomfortable initiating a conversation. Normally in a video game, you want to do everything, see everything, examine everything, just so you get everything and you don't miss anything. But here I was like, oh, I'm supposed to have a conversation with him as part of this game, but I kind of don't want to, because as a trans man, I felt uncomfortable. I didn't know how this conversation was going to go, and that was really interesting. It turns out in the conversation, he's like, oh, do you live here? And I started lying and saying, oh, no, we're just passing through. Because I also realized that Tyler is considered a murderer, so that's also another level of uncomfortable. But yeah, it's fascinating because you're like walking around and like seeing how people react to Tyler, but Tyler's a very cool character, but it obviously does still bother him, and it's just fascinating. And I love that there's this game exists where it puts you in the shoes of a trans man so that people can, kind of experience what that's like and how just the discrimination is and how it works. And it's, it's nice. I mean, it's nice that people have that experience, not, I'm sure it's not going to be nice because this game is very clearly very emotional and it's going to be upsetting and there's going to be some drama. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. Like I said, I only just started it this week. But if you do have an Xbox or a PC, Tell Me Why is free to download in the Microsoft Store for the month of June. So get on that. So far, I'm enjoying it. So I'll have more to talk about next week. I've also got something else I want to talk about, but I'm saving that for next week. So I will see you then. Bye!